Prison Breaks, Kindergarten Cops, Angelina Jolie. These action sequels came, punched, but definitely did not conquer at the box office. When Roadhouse 2 Last Call was released in 2006, it went straight to video, and probably straight into a lot of bargain bins in the process. The sequel deserves credit, however, for at least trying to be some semblance of a continuation of the 1989 original. Last Call centers around Shane Tanner, the son of Patrick Swayze's James Dalton from the first flick. He puts up his dukes to protect his Uncle Nate's bar, the Black Pelican, from dangerous goons led by a couple guys named Wild Bill and Victor Cross. Meanwhile, Shane is also on a quest for vengeance as he tries to solve the mystery of who killed his legendary father. Roadhouse 2 never quite reaches the action-packed heights of its predecessor, but it at least makes a valiant attempt to expand the lore. Released in 1988, the original Bloodsport featured Jean-Claude Van Damme as Frank Dukes screaming like a madman as he competed in a Kumite tournament and punched his adversaries in the family jewels. 8 years later, a sequel materialized entitled Bloodsport 2: The Next Kumite. Van Damme didn't return, as this follow-up instead revolves around a new protagonist, a thief named Alex, played by Daniel Bernhardt. He becomes imprisoned for stealing an ancient sword, receives training from a martial arts master, and enters an underground Kumite tournament. The film also features the talents of Pat Morita of Karate Kid fame, as well as legendary character actor James Hong. Bloodsport 2 doesn't exactly have the best script in the world, as it telegraphs its every move and is about as predictable as a dog in an all-you-can-eat buffet. However, there's an unmistakable charm to being nothing more than that, and that's largely thanks to Bernhardt's committed performance and martial arts ability.
And so Alex won the Kumite and gave me the sword.
Jean-Claude Van Damme experienced his own version of Back to the Future in 1994's Timecop, which cleaned up nicely at the global box office, securing over $100 million worldwide from a $28 million budget. With such a juicy profit, it wasn't a surprise when a sequel came out in the form of 2003's direct-to-video Timecop 2: The Berlin Decision. The follow-up takes place nearly 2 decades after the original, as Time Enforcement Commission agent Ryan Chang needs to stop Society for Historical Authenticity leader Brandon Miller from traveling back in time and altering history by killing Adolf Hitler. With that setup, this movie essentially turns into a debate about how messing with important historical events can have widespread and unintentional consequences. Despite touching on a classic thought experiment, Timecop 2 isn't likely to make anyone deeply ponder the meaning of life anytime soon. But if you want to watch a B-movie time travel adventure where fists and kicks fly at a rapid pace, then you can go ahead and inject this one straight into your veins. In the John Woo-directed 1993 film Hard Target, a gloriously mulleted Jean-Claude Van Damme stars as Chance Boudreaux, a snake-punching merchant who finds himself pulled into a grim plot that involves rich people hunting others for sport.
What are you doing?
I'm leaving a surprise for my friends.
A sequel arrived 23 years later. Hard Target 2 follows the same premise and could technically be considered a reboot as well. It stars Scott Adkins as Wes Baylor, an MMA fighter tricked into thinking he's about to have a big-money fight in Myanmar when he's actually the target of a deadly hunt. This direct-to-video release didn't receive a lot of love from fans, although it did earn some praise for not trying to fool anyone into thinking it would be anything more than what its trailer promised. As Alex Paul of the Action Elite put it, you would be hard-pressed to name another actor with the on-screen charisma and true martial arts skills that Atkins brings to the role. When it comes right down to it, Hard Target 2 is here for a good time, not a long time. 2002's Half Past Dead isn't Steven Seagal's most famous or successful movie, but it's still a barrel of fun that's packed with enjoyably awful dialogue. Its 2007 sequel follows Twitch, a supporting character from the first film played by rapper Corrupt, who strikes up a friendship with brawny prisoner William Burke, played by wrestling legend Bill Goldberg. The plot features a neat callback to the original, as Twitch seeks the infamous gold bricks hidden by another inmate, while he must also team up with Burke when events spiral out of control in the prison. Here's the funny thing about Half Past Dead 2. Despite less star power and an obvious lower budget, it holds a higher audience score than its predecessor on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not exactly an era-defining classic or anything like that, but it has its moments and more or less delivers on its potential.
Keep that nose clean. Ain't gotta worry about me.
The greatest challenge of Arnold Schwarzenegger's entire career might have been rounding up a bunch of unruly kids in 1990's Kindergarten Cop. That mixture of laughs and muscle-bound action still stands the test of time 3 decades later. It also made serious cash at the box office, raking in over $200 million worldwide.
It's not a tumor.
Despite the money on the table, Schwarzenegger never returned for a follow-up, although a sequel did arrive without him in 2016. Kindergarten Cop 2 starred Dolph Lundgren as FBI agent Zach Reed, who goes undercover as a teacher to find a flash drive containing critical information while dealing with the rowdy children. It basically follows the same beats as the original, just with new gags and new cast members. Kindergarten Cop 2 didn't receive a lot of love from critics, although there was some praise for its star's performance, with Flickering Myth writing, "Lundgren has fun here. He's not nearly as awkward in the wrong way as the trailer suggested. He's got the charisma to make the film watchable."
Wow, good to eat some real chocolate once in a while, huh?
2009's Tekken may not have been the biggest box office bomb based on a video game, but it's not exactly fondly remembered either. So the franchise was offered a chance at redemption in 2014 with the release of Tekken 2, Kazuya's Revenge. This is actually a prequel, as it follows the story of the young Kazuya Mishima, who is the father of the protagonist from the first film. It also features a few returning characters from the original, while the plot of an amnesiac Kazuya being turned into a killing machine only serves as a minor inconvenience in between the various fight scenes. Fans and critics weren't exactly convinced, though, seeing this as yet another Tekken film that forgets the source material it's based on. We've got yet another sequel to a Jean-Claude Van Damme action classic. Interestingly enough, 1989's Cyborg only came about because Canon Films' Spider-Man adaptation and Master of the Universe sequel didn't come to fruition, so the props and costumes were recycled to shoot an original film instead. 4 years later, Cyborg 2: Glass Shadow offered fans the opportunity to step back into this universe. It features Van Damme's character and archival footage, but this story is set in the future and features Angelina Jolie as a new cyborg named Cash Reeves, who defies her creator's orders and falls in love with her trainer, played by Elias Koteas. Despite looking cheaper than a 3-week-old hot dog, Cyborg 2 contains a formidable cast, which also includes Jack Palance and Billy Drago. Ultimately, Cyborg 2 falls comfortably into the category of so bad it's good. It may not be the type of movie that's winning any Oscars, but it's certainly better than Cyborg 3: The Recycler, which is the cinematic equivalent of Purgatory for the eyes and the soul.
Take it or leave it.
Escape Plan was a pretty big deal for action fans when it came out in 2013, as it brought the legendary Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger together. They starred as security hotshot Ray Breslin and prison inmate Emil Rottmeyer, respectively, who must combine their powers to break out of a prison. It got mixed reviews and did so-so at the box office, which was enough to lead to a horrendous direct-to-video sequel that came out in 2018 called Escape Plan 2: Hades. Most fans probably believed that the franchise died right then and there. However, Stallone actually received another shot at righting the wrongs of that first follow-up with 2019's Escape Plan: The Extractors, which also stars Dave Bautista, Devon Sawa, and Jamie King. The Extractors is unquestionably an improvement over the second film, though that's not saying much, as a rock with 2 drawn-on eyes and a smile would be better than that abomination. Regardless, the Escape Plan series feels a little like the Taken franchise by the third entry. If the security business keeps giving someone headaches and endangering their lives, maybe it's time for Ray Breslin to do something else with his life. Dwayne Johnson shines in 2004's Walking Tall, a remake of the 1973 vigilante flick of the same name. It was still early days in the wrestler-turned-actor's big-screen career, but his natural charisma oozes in every scene as an army vet who takes on the criminal elements of his hometown. The film ends fairly conclusively and works as a one-off story, but it actually received 2 sequels that both came out in 2007. The first is the Western-inspired Walking Tall: The Payback, which follows Kevin Sorbo as ex-military man Nick Prescott, who uses his fists as a metaphorical broom to clean up his hometown. Much like its predecessor, The Payback didn't earn particularly glowing reviews from critics or viewers, though it was far from a disaster. Just a few months later, Walking Tall: Lone Justice was released, with Sorbo returning as Nick. Now that his town is safe, he moves to another place where he must once again get his knuckles bruised and bloodied to knock some sense into people.
Oh, you are clearly a bad influence.
Is it a necessary sequel? Absolutely not. But hey, it exists. Starring Samuel L. Jackson and Colin Farrell, 2003's S.W.A.T was only loosely based on the 70s TV show of the same name. The 2011 direct-to-video sequel, S.W.A.T Firefight, holds no real connection to what came before it, choosing to focus on a new set of recruits who are trained by expert S.W.A.T officer Paul Cutler. After a hostage dies during a mission, Cutler and his team's mettle are tested as they must learn how to function better as a unit while dealing with a looming threat. While Firefight isn't anything to write home about, it did receive a few positive reviews, and some viewers enjoyed its cliched but comforting approach. And the franchise didn't end there either, as a third film, S.W.A.T Under Siege, was released in 2017, though it's also a separate story from the previous two movies. That same year, S.W.A.T also returned to the small screen as a rebooted TV show on CBS, with its 8th season set to arrive in the fall of 2024. 2007's Stone Cold Steve Austin starring The Condemned wasn't exactly a huge hit, although its Hunger Games but with convicts premise found its audience among B-movie action lovers. That said, this wasn't really the kind of movie that begs for a sequel. Nevertheless, it received one in 2015 when The Condemned 2 came out. Much like the first film, the plot centers around a group of people thrown together in a singular location who are forced to fight to the death. In the lead role is WWE superstar Randy Orton, who plays the tough-as-nails Will Tanner. He's joined by other notable actors like Eric Roberts and Wes Studi. While The Condemned overcomes its narrative weaknesses through brainless fun and explosive action sequences, the sequel struggles to be as entertaining or even mildly memorable. Ultimately, this one is probably just for completists who want to watch every action movie starring wrestling legends.